In this lesson, what we're going to be doing is taking a look at the Edit Edges rollout. Now, let me go ahead and point this out. The lessons are going to start becoming a little shorter because we're going to start seeing the same tools over and over again. And I'm not going to stay in there and hound on these tools over and over again because you could simply go back to a previous lesson and watch a fuller discussion if need be.
Right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start out. How do you think I should start?
Ooh, let me see here. Could it be we're going to build a box?
Oh, I was going to start with a light.
Oh,
but okay.
man.
All right, a box, and we'll drag a box out real quick. Next.
Let's color the box blue.
All right. Yeah, we'll go with this blue this time.
All right.
Now what?
Let's convert that to an editable poly.
All right. So right-click, come down, convert to. You know, instead of digging all the way down here every time, do you know what I could do? That's kind of a shortcut.
Should be able to click on the gray transform bar.
Exactly, since that guy's highlighted blue. So I just click on that. He's now an editable poly. Go ahead and select my move tool. Hold shift. Let's go ahead and clone that over to the side. Go ahead and tell it OK. Now what I want to do is click attach. Attach the two together. Right-click to cancel out of attach.
See, you're starting to use some of these tools we've already gone over.
Exactly. And let's grab this polygon. Control-click this polygon. Hit delete. And I think we're pretty much ready to begin.
It's really funny to kind of joke about using boxes like in each lesson, but it really allows us to see like the difference in all these tools and see what they're all doing, all based off the same shape.
Absolutely. And it keeps things a lot cleaner as well because, you know, if I go in here and sometimes I'm working with, let's say, NURMS and I've got the low-res, high-res, you know, it can just get confusing to a beginner who's not used to recognizing what exactly just happened.
I agree.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and let me do one more thing before we start working with the edges. I'm going to come over here and take this polygon and let's just come on down and actually edit geometry and tessellate it. Go ahead and hit F4. And now we can switch back over to edges and we're ready to go. So this is the rollout that we're going to be talking about right here, edit edges. Let's go ahead and come in here first, select this edge, and hit the remove. What is this going to do? Well, it's going to take the polygons that are touching this edge or that are part of this edge and simply put them together as one polygon.
There you are.
And we can see this by simply switching over to the polygon subobject mode, and we can select that. Okay, let's go ahead and switch back into edge. Well, let me point this out as well. This vertex is left behind. It's not causing a problem. We could come in there and simply remove it if we need to. In fact, we'll do that here shortly. So let's go ahead and switch back over to edges. Next thing I want to talk about is going to be split. Split will allow me to take... Actually, Zach, go ahead. Explain this. I'll give you something to do.
Well, split's going to take two or more adjacent edges and use them to make an incision in your shape.
Okay, so if I come down here right now, hit split with these two selected edges, what's going to happen when I switch over here into vertex mode, grab and pull?
Well, you should have a split between your upper polygon and your two lower polygons.
Okay, so I got one up here. Oh, let's pull that down. Okay, and if I grab this, is it going to be a single split?
Yeah, should be.
There you go. And that's exactly what we've got. So now let's go ahead and use some of the tools that we've seen before. Let's go into a target weld from this vertex up to this guy. All right, so now everything's been put back together, so we can switch back over here and take a look at what would happen if I was to select this edge, and this edge, and hit split.
Well, what should happen is that the upper polygon should remain intact, pretty much like it did with the last split, while the two lower polygons should be split away from each other.
Okay, and there you go, and there you go, and finally, there you go.
Very nice.
Good. Yeah. All right, so what that allows me to do now is go ahead and come back over here to Edge Subobject Mode and talk about welding. So let's go ahead and select this edge up here and this edge down here. So I've got two edges that I would like to weld together. I'm going to go ahead and hit G to get rid of my grid. I'm going to come over here to weld. Again, I'm back in the Edit Edges rollout. Open up my settings dialog. And now the reason they haven't welded together, just like you've seen in the previous lesson, is my threshold is not high enough. I can go in here and start cranking the threshold up. And as soon as it gets high enough, bam, boom, there they go. Okay, and you notice before vertices, after vertices, we've now dropped by one. Go ahead and say OK, and that is done. So next thing I want to do is take a look at target weld. We've seen this in action. In fact, I just used it just a second ago. Target weld, I want to weld this edge to this edge. This edge, let's try this. Hello, let's try this one more time.
Just have the tool selected.
To this edge. Yes, I did not realize that when I pressed it, it did not stay down. Let's go ahead and put this box back together as well. Let's say I want to go from this edge over here to this edge, and let's rotate around to the other side and go from this edge all the way over to this edge. Okay?
There you go. The shape's put back together.
All right, so let's see. What can we look at next? How about... Let's go ahead and look at the insert vertex real quick. So this is quite simple. It allows me to go in here and simply put a new vertex in. Okay? And of course, you know, we can go in here and we can start adding new vertices in on edges all throughout this thing, and then we can switch over and start connecting them all together to insert new edges.
Right.
There's just so many different ways to add new detail into your geometry.
Exactly.
All right, so now let's go ahead and right-click, and let's go ahead and come over here, and I'm going to clean things up a little bit. Let's start with this center one. Let's remove that out. Let's grab this up here, this one, this one, this one. I'm just giving myself a clean polygon again. And let's go ahead and remove those out. All right, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and switch back over to Edges and back down to the Edit Edges rollout. Next thing I want to talk about, let's take a quick look at, let's see, we got chamfer and connect. Let's go ahead, we'll go ahead and do connect first. Connect requires 2 edges, like such. I'm going to come over here to connect. I'm going to go ahead and open up its settings dialog. Right now, my connect edge segments is set to 1, and I get 1 edge between these two guys. Up it to 2, I now get 2. If I need to make some sort of a grate or something like that, just come in here and start increasing that, and then I could go every other one. And if I need to do an inset and then extrude them back in or something like that.
Very cool.
So let's go ahead and tell this okay. All right, so let's go ahead and come back to this corner over here and take a look at chamfer. Grab this guy right here, chamfer, and it's just like you saw before when chamfering vertices. What it's going to do is actually it's going to split them apart. It's going to put a new polygon in between. Okay, so click, drag, split them apart, just like I said. New polygon in between. Let's do it again, and about right there. And what I've done is simply just rounded off my edge right there.
Very cool. Now, before we go too much further, I'd really like to see what the Extrude Edges tool does.
Extrude Edges? Ah, okay. Yeah, good point. So what Extrude Edges will allow me to do, let's go ahead and put this back over here. Let's go ahead and pick on the bottom with this one right here. Extruding. All right. You know how we can extrude vertices. Remember, by extruding a vertex, what we get is a base and a height.
Right, right.
Okay, so it's kind of like a combination of a chamfer and the vertex itself being extruded straight out. Guess what? Extruding edges is exactly the same way. You just got to be aware of how your mouse works. Let's take a look. I'll simply left-click, and as I drag my mouse up and down, I'm controlling the height. And as I drag left and right, I'm controlling the base.
Very nice.
Okay, so we can go ahead and just add that guy in, and there you go. So it's just, it's just that simple. And there we go, controlling base again, controlling height.
Very, very cool.
Okay, so now we can drop down. Let's see, where do we need to go? So we've looked at pretty much everything. We're down here to the create shape from selection. And I think the best way we can demonstrate that is by coming over here, and let's pick on this guy.
Just a note kind of off to the side, a lot of these tools we've been using have settings boxes next to them, and basically what those buttons are going to allow us to do is actually put in numeric values for the different changes we're making, as opposed to just moving the mouse.
Exactly. One reason I didn't talk about that is because I've talked about it in previous lessons, and we've used it. I know, that's cool. You were buying me time while I was selecting edges.
That's right.
Okay, so I've got all of these edges selected all the way around, and now I'm going to come down here to create shape from selection. This is pretty cool. I've got 2 different shape types that I can create. I've got smooth and I've got linear. Let's start out by doing linear because it'll be easier to see.
Okay.
Go ahead and click OK. I've just created a new linear shape. I'll go ahead and come up here and grab that shape, select it, and let's go ahead and move it away. Look at that.
Wow.
Notice it is simply an editable spline.
Right.
Now let's go ahead and come back over here real quick. We still have our selection. We're still in sub-object selection mode. Let's go ahead and come back down to create shape from selection. And this time, let's do smooth. Click OK. And I do believe you can see the difference quickly. So we'll grab the new shape, select that guy, and let's move him away.
Oh, yeah. Much different.
And there you go. Okay. So the final thing we want to look at, let's go ahead and come down here. Well, we've got a couple more things. Actually, with the last 3 things, let's go ahead and reset Max real quick. And let's start out with just a real simple box because it'll just be easier to see what's going on.
Oh, look, Max finally caught on and made it blue for you.
Got tired of me changing the color. And I know out there, guys, I can set it so the color doesn't change every time. But sometimes I like the colors it gives me.
I know.
Okay, so let's go ahead and right-click, come down here, convert to. So there you go, editable poly. And let's go ahead and come back into Edges mode and back down to the Edit Edges rollout. All right, for weight and crease, we need to actually first come down to Subdivision Surfaces, check the Use NURM subdivision. Let's go ahead and increase our iterations by a couple. Then come back up here, and you guys have already seen weight before when working with vertices, except now we're just dealing with edges. Let's go ahead and hit F4 so that we can see our edged faces. And as I increase my weight, what's going to happen is I'm going to push away. As I decrease, it's going to start pulling to make it a little bit tighter. And I can use this in combination with crease. And what crease will do is actually start pulling this entire edge towards the original low-res edge. And so let's go ahead and take a look at what I'm talking about. So crease, and we're going to start pulling it up, and we're actually making a crease right there.
There you go, like a hard edge.
Exactly. So if I come over here and grab this guy, and let's say bring that down a little bit and bring his crease up, somewhere right about there, and then I grab this and this edge right here, and let's go ahead and just simply bring creasing up. Look what's happening. We're starting to flatten out the top of this right here. So
very
it's
nice.
more round on the bottom, tighter on the top. So working back and forth between weight and crease, very, very good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So now to show the last thing real quick, I'm going to go ahead and come down here to Subdivision Surfaces, turn off, use NURMS, come back up here, and there we go. And let's go ahead and click on the Edit Triangulation. And this will show me basically which way my triangles are running, and I can flip these around if I need to on a polygon. And it's real simple. All I need to do is come in here, and where this one's running from this way to this way, all I can do is come in here and click, drag, and click, and we've just flipped it. Okay?
Very nice.
And this is something that it's going to be a lot easier to explain when we actually get into modeling characters and things like that, because we'll run into situations where the geometry is going to look strange, but by flipping this edge around, it'll fix the way it looks.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm just going to leave it like that for now.
All right.
It's just a way to flip edges. So with that, that's going to conclude this section on Edit Edges. Hope you guys got a lot out of it. Thanks a lot.